All right, so welcome, ladies, and to my special episode with a lovely expert here. Of course, I'm Antje Boyd from FindTheOneElite.com, and we are really excited. I'm really excited to have an expert on the side who can sing the songs of Match.com and Bumble and Tinder and OkCupid and whatnot, right? Because I just don't have that expertise. I just did it for me. I just did it I don't even know how I did it. It's just unconscious competence. And I'd just love to have an expert on here who just actually knows and she could track exactly what she did and what worked and what didn't work. So let me just give you a few words. So Kim Quigg is a dating expert and speaker and the creator of the Forever Love Formula. I mean, who doesn't want that, right? You don't want just the one day love formula, right? We want the forever love formula. So Kim had her own relationship struggles, right? At the age of 40, right? So it's, never been married and dating men that really didn't treat her as a priority, right? And, I know that so many of you can really relate to that, not feeling like second best. And she probably dated over 200 men on Match.com, probably like the biggest database when it comes on a date. And she didn't have a boyfriend for over 15 years. So ladies, there's hope, right? 15 years, that's a long time. And she took a 6-month break and learned all the skills and techniques, right, to be successful with online dating. So she's going to really teach us some specific techniques that you can implement today, right, to get more likes or more emails back tomorrow, right? So she went back on Match after the 6-month period, and in 2 weeks' time, ladies, 2 weeks' time, she met her amazing man that treated her like gold, and she just got married almost 6 months ago. So really excited. So welcome, Kim Quigg.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yay! We're so excited to have you here. And so Kim, first, of course, you said a little bit more how you got into this, but, tell me more what's so special about online dating that really has worked for you, or what happened in your past that you felt like, online dating is the way to go versus other channels of dating?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And so, number one, if you're a busy person, right? You have a successful career, and you just don't have a lot of time. Online dating is the way to go because you can do it in the comforts of your home, actually in your pajamas if you want to. You can be looking for men while you're standing in line at the bank. So you just have more of an access to really fit it in to meet men, or if you're a man, meeting women. And the other thing is why it's so positive is where else are you going to have such a database? I mean, there's if you look in your area, there's thousands of men, and you can drill down to exactly what you are looking for. So there are really positive aspects for the busy woman who's looking for a great man.
Oh, great. Awesome. Yeah. So I'm excited to hear more about, how do you feel safe with online dating, right? Because I get all the time this question, how do I know there's not a creep, or how do I know, I'm safe, or my data is safe, or, so tell me more about that. How do you feel safe with online dating?
And that's a really good question, because that's a big one that comes up a lot about being safe. And number one, it is about, taking the time to really read the profile, and does everything match up? Does the profile match with the picture? Yeah. And to be very choosy and really know what you want and what you're looking for. Just don't just pick random men, of course, right? To be smart about that. The other thing is, I always say, is you want to have, look at, is there does something seem off to the picture just looks too good to be true, or the profile or the communication seems canned. And and go through the steps of course, contacting, emailing each other a couple times, have a couple of phone conversations, continue to observe to see things are matching up to what they said and in their profile,
Mm-hmm.
and then go and meet them, because that kind of builds trust and you feel safe as you're going through those steps. I would say that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the really important steps. And of course, one of the things I always tell the ladies too, text your friend where you're going to meet somebody, just so somebody knows where, and I have even some clients that will even take a picture of the man online and they send it to their friend. This is the guy I'm going to go meet. So you have some precautions there, and just really using your common sense is really important.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's tricky, right? Because the women that I work with, they're just learning to trust themselves again, right? So common sense is like, that's it's a little tricky, right? It's like, what if that common sense hasn't worked before because my emotional guidance system is off, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little more. What are some secrets? What's your secret sauce? The top ways to really be successful, because so now you have this great database, right? But it's only as useful as your ability to navigate that, right?
Yeah.
More about that, Tim.
That's a really good point, because it's just like, going to the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know how to do everything or use everything properly, it doesn't work. It's only it's a tool. You have to know how to use the tool.
Mm-hmm.
We can't blame the tool if you don't know how to use it.
Right.
One is, of course, you have to have a great profile. I mean, there are a lot of people on online dating, and somewhat, what I would say competition, but you can beat out the competition when you really wrote a profile that comes from your essence, really you, and describing more of some stories about yourself instead of just saying, oh, I'm adventurous, I'm fun. Let's tell some little stories. So when a man reads the profile, he's like, oh, I can really see myself being with this woman, or dating this woman. The other thing, of course, you have to have great photos. And I always recommend get them professionally done. Have at least a professional headshot.
Yes, I
if you're going to be serious about it, invest, because it's
right.
of course, as we know, it will come back tenfold.
Right.
And how you communicate with men is very important. Are you just quickly writing an email or responding really quickly? Like, really take your time to point out something in the profile about them, asking questions. Be playful, be light, be fun. And another thing that makes me think of as we know, the mindset is everything. And you have to have a positive mindset when you go into online dating. Like, I can make this work. I can be happy and fun. See this as an opportunity to learn about myself, learn about men, learn about dating, not get on there, oh, there's a bunch of jerks, there's a bunch of duds. They're going to, you have to be in the positive mindset, of course, to have it set up for success.
Yeah. And, a couple of things that I also heard, the reason why I was asking about the safety is because, I had this one friend, he's a coach actually in the Bay Area, and he contacted us and he was like, guys, look what I found. And literally, like, a woman contacted him who recognized him because he's very known in the industry. And some guy or woman, who knows, right? Like, took his photo and used it on online dating, right? And said like, oh, I'm like from Florida and whatever, right? And we're like, no, that is you. Like, that is not some guy in Florida, right? So she like contacted him immediately and she said, somebody's using your photo. Right. So that's why I asked the like security question too, right? Because it's like so easy these days to just pull them off Facebook and tell us more specifically. I heard a couple of things like with photos that, don't wear sunglasses, look directly in the camera. So tell us more about that. Like, because you do the headshots, that's one part, but you can do a lot of different headshots, right? So what are some of the things you'd recommend when it comes to headshots that are really like, inviting and welcoming versus like, oh, I'm like an aloof woman, or don't look at me, or you attract avoid attachment styles because you look so unapproachable. So they're like, oh, great, right? She's just like me. But in reality, you're actually, you're maybe even anxious, right? So some of the tips that you would say that really helps to you know, to be really congruent in your photo.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And you know, as being, you know, if you, number one, right? So if you want a masculine man, you want to be feminine. You want to be attracted because it's the, you know, those opposites that attract. And so number one, you know, make sure that your photos are feminine. Don't use like your photo that you're using to put on your business card, right? It's just too professional looking. You want to have great photos, but you want them to be, you know, more relaxed and the smile. Smile is very important, and like you said, no sunglasses, because it's like you're hiding behind something. Even the playful ones, no sunglasses, maybe a background of nature or something, some hobby. And I think about no more than 6 pictures. After that, you're getting too many, but like I said, you definitely want a professional headshot, showing that great smile that you have and looking into the camera. I want a long length picture of yourself, and then maybe a couple of where you're doing activity and you're looking fun and light, and be careful that you have it in a big group of women, because then they're trying to figure out who is that, or having too many pictures of your, you know, you have cats, and you have to think, right? This is the first thing a man, he doesn't know you, right? And it's the first thing and he's going to look at. So we're really, this is your brand. It's like your billboard in some respects, and what's going to capture, and then get them in so you can, you know, have a conversation, have a date.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Why that's important.
You know, you love that. You might be able to use that in one of your talks, but my husband, he's like in some man groups, right, on Facebook, and one man was like posting how he got like this one profile where there was like 2 women, and one was like skinny and blonde, and the other one was like really big and some sort of like other ethnicity, I forgot what it was. And she said, you know, do you want to take the bet? Like, do you dare to bet who am I, the right or the left? And it was just this kind of like, wow, you know. It's this like lack of authenticity, because right away it's just kind of like, oh, we're playing a game, right? We're not serious here. Because you know what the man said, the really secure man said, you know what? Even if it's the blonde one, I don't even want the blonde one, because if she takes in like the woman who's like overweight as like, oh, this is like your risk, and it's like super like, because it looked like a friendship photo, like it's like a friend of hers. He's like, I don't want to date somebody like that who's like super mean like that, or super arrogant towards that, you know. So like that was a good point what you said with the groups, or having like a girlfriend in there, and you just like, well, which one are you? Even like on Facebook, I see it too, and I'm like, which one are you? You know, because sometimes I figure out like, oh, who would be good for my friend, or you know, I look some photos up.
Yeah, keep it simple, right? So they don't have to think, well, you know, you don't want to have to think too hard. It's already enough to, you know, because of course it does take time to do online dating, just like anything else. Like, how worth it is it for you to find someone? And what else I would say about online dating is consistency. Like, you do have to be on there, like, you know, at least 5 days a week, and be able to answer those emails, even if it's just for 15 minutes, because if you wait longer than 24 hours to answer some of those emails, they're on to somebody else. I mean, it's just, there's the nature of the game of the online dating, and you just have to know the nature of the game. And the other thing is our expectations. Like, you know, that you are going to get rejected probably. And be okay with that. Like, okay, next, move to the next one. You know, it's the mindset of being positive, and the realization, the expectations, and like I said, just having fun with it, rolling with it.
So I'm curious to hear from you, because Brody and I, we talk a lot about masculine, feminine energy, who approaches who, right? So how does that translate into online dating? Like, because some women are saying, so, you know, can I wink at him, or can I smile at him, or should I just like have him come all the way to me? So like, so what would you say? Like, how important is it that he's the first one who reaches out, and then and also like, how much do you actually write, right? That's another thing I always get. It's like, so what do I say to just say, you know, how much do I write? You know, because sometimes I see the guys like write like paragraphs, right? I'm like, oh, well, that's why you lost her, right? Because you're just like, right? You
Yeah,
just
like, way too much, way too
by
much.
the time you get to the bottom of the email, you forgot what was on the top, right? So
Now it's like, oh my God, where's this going? I got to get a glass of wine just to sit here and read this thing.
right? I mean, I used to have this guy. I was like, I just knew. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be, yeah, I can have dinner while I read this, right? So
Yeah, that's well, okay. So the first question about the feminine and masculine, and so like, yes, I'm a big proponent of feminine and masculine, the man pursuing.
yeah.
However, with online dating, I'm actually a proponent of you contacting the men. I think it makes it much easier, and because it's not a date.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what I have this terminology I call the nudge. Like, you're giving a man a nudge that you're interested, and then you see if he responds back.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I recommend, yeah, contacting him through email,
Mm-hmm.
On the online site, and doing it in a way where that is fun and like pick something out of his profile that really stands out, and talk about that.
How much do you talk about that? Like, what would you say? Like, what's the kind of max that you should,
Oh, only about like maybe 3 sentences, like something. Oh, like, oh, I see that you like soccer. How did you get involved in soccer? Oh, by the way, when I was vacationing in Europe, I went to, this soccer match, and something like that happened, and say something kind of funny. Looking forward to connecting with you, and sign your name, of course. And then let the magic happen. See if he responds.
So that was like my other question too. What do you recommend to have some sort of like inviting ending, right? Like something, I ended something, but I don't want to come off like avoidant, because I mean, obviously I wrote you. So like, how can you what other ways would you recommend? What else can you say at the end of an email that, like a 2-3 sentence email, not like a huge long email, right? To just be like a little like inviting and, kind of like.
Yeah. And it can, you can come from a beingness of being confident and being playful, being light. I want to think about that, because I've seen, some of my clients, and because what I do is I'll go in and I read the emails that they send. I want to see, exactly what they're doing. And I'll get things like where at the end they're like, hope to speak to you. And I'm like, no, you don't say I hope to speak to you, because it sounds kind of like not confident, right?
Oh my gosh, that's so true. Exactly, right? Because if you don't say I hope tomorrow's Christmas. It's like, no, tomorrow's Christmas, right?
Yeah.
So looking forward to it, right? So that's such a good point. Like the language, right?
The language is very, very, very important.
How much that reveals, right? And another thing that I always find online dating, when I was online dating, and I mean, I did OkCupid and Plenty of Fish, and I would always meet somebody when I totally didn't care, when I was just like, I don't have anything to do tonight, so I'm just like sitting with online, but nothing serious, right? But one thing I found is I could tell that some guys like got a copywriter. Like I could tell that that's not who they were when I met them. So do you know like any ways how you can kind of uncover, oh, that's like totally somebody you've hired a ghostwriter here, like versus how can you uncover that like within just the 1 or 2 messages that you're sending back and forth? Because that's what I found to be quite true a lot of times.
I think what you could do is like ask questions about things in their profile and see how they respond, right? So you're always seeing how things are matching up. Is it, are the emails matching up to the profile? Then you have a conversation. You might not get it until you at least have a conversation over the phone. And then you can kind of, if they're saying some inconsistent things, if you're getting, so that's why it's important, to, maybe you're still trying to feel out your intuition and your confidence, but be aware, be present, really pay attention to conversation. I used to take notes.
Yeah.
Spreadsheets.
Yeah.
With little notes. And
I know, right? You have to, right? It's like the Bachelorette, right? It's like, okay, this one gets a rose this week. And, like, I totally get it. I used to do that too, it gets overwhelming. And then you mix up, oh, you weren't the one who came for reference. Okay. Got that wrong.
Yeah, right? Oh, darn.
You gotta like keep tracking,
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
Yeah. So good. And so what would you say, what are some of the, like, you talked a lot about what to do, right? And what would you say, what are some of the deal breakers? What is something that you definitely shouldn't do? It's like a red flag, or something that's like, it's like a no, don't do it. I forgot the word for it, no go, or whatever you want to call it.
Let's see. Well, for me, I think you definitely should have a phone conversation before you meet them.
A phone conversation. Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about that. How after how long? Like, how many emails do you send back and forth until you get to a phone conversation?
2 to 3 emails. And so sometimes what you'll have is men that are very, I don't know, they just want to meet right away, And so like, they don't even want to have an email conversation. Like, they're contacting you through, maybe one of the instant messaging.
Yeah.
And they're like, they want to, let's exchange numbers. And then they're texting.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't even have a phone conversation. You're texting back and forth, and then you meet up with them.
Right.
And this is, my way, this is the way that my opinion, and what I think what works is have a phone conversation, because then you could weed out. So you're not wasting your time meeting men, because it takes time to drive there, to meet them, and then get there and like, oh my God, this guy, is not something that you can tell from the voice.
Yeah. So true, right? So
and these days, look at us. Like, you could do Skype.
Oh my God, right? And
yeah.
And another thing what I love about this is you can really filter out when you do Skype, the avoidant ones, right? Because the avoidant attachment style will not want to do that. Like, they will try to drag you on email or maybe a phone call, but that's it. They don't want to have that closeness, right? They don't want to be seen, and like they don't want that, right? So it's really interesting. And I also love it because you can really study their body language, and you can see is actually his facial expression congruent with what he's saying. So that's such a good point. I forgot that because we didn't have Zoom back when I did my online dating.
I know, me too. We didn't really, but you can now. And and the other thing they made me think of too, like to watch out for, like, of course, like there's, this type of thing attracts all different types of people, right?
Yeah.
There's people that are married, on there, and people are just wanting to, like, not even really into wanting to have a relationship. So that's why, you want to see, like, are they just texting you and not asking you out? If they're not, then, and I recommend a little nudge. Hey, like, oh, I would love to take this to a phone conversation. I would love to take this to meet you in person. And if they don't respond like that, don't contact them anymore. Don't,
just like write it off, right? Yeah.
Nip
I totally
in
agree.
the butt right there, because it's just not going anywhere. Don't waste your time with 2 emails, 2 phone conversations, and then get yourself on a date.
Yeah. And another thing where we just talk about that, like, you can meet anybody and everybody, right? So I was thinking about, well, what if I do like eHarmony or like one of the higher, and so what's your take on like investing more money into like a higher end sort of like matchmaking, still a site, right? Like still online dating, but much higher, so that you kind of like weave out that guys who just kind of go in for the fun of it, because they're not going to pay $700 for eHarmony to be in there for the fun of it, versus like a free page like, OkCupid or Plenty of Fish or even Match.com. I mean, it's like what, $30 a month or whatever it is, right? So what do you say to that?
Yeah, and well, you're right. It's a really good point, because not to say, like, I've heard, women have met, men on Plenty of Fish and some of the free sites, but I think you have to work a lot harder on those sites. And I do think, even, I'm actually a big proponent of Match. I like Match.com. It's not as much as some of the higher ones like eHarmony.
Right.
Still, it's an investment. So you're going to get a better quality of men. So there's like Zoosk now, eHarmony, Match.com, and like what's the other one? Our Time, which is a big one. And also you can do find some specific things. Like, you know, if you're looking for a Jewish man, then there's a Jewish online dating site, or there's a vegan online date.
Yes, absolutely.
Now you're getting specifically what you're looking for. And so, and I recommend to do 1 or 2, but that's the max. Don't be on, like, sometimes, you know, clients come to me, they're on like 4 or 5. I'm like, whoa, that's just way too much. Be on 1 or 2, really learn the
1 or 2, right? Yeah.
That, because you really want to learn it. Don't just gonna really go and learn all the
skill, right? You gotta just really, right? If you're absolutely. And you know, another thing I also find is, and I know it's kind of like a paradox, but I find that women who are more in scarcity mindset, they tend to be on like 5 different pages, right? Because
that's the point.
You know, they feel like, okay, well, number one, I find like the anxious women that I work with, right, that, you know, they always have an email from somewhere, right? But what's interesting is when I did that, when I was my most anxious time, gosh, that was like, you know, 8-10 years ago, right? I would actually, there were days where I didn't have anything, and I was like on 5 sites, right? So I love what you say, to just do 1 or 2, because it also triggers you like trust, you know, trust that the right man will be drawn to go on that website, right? Maybe they were on another website, but now that you're drawn to go on this website, and, you know, and just like really feel it out, right?
Yeah, and you're more in a more, like you said, abundance mindset. You're at ease, you're relaxed, you're more confident, you're learning more about that site. You become more, you feel more efficient about that. And then the other thing, like Tinder is not, you know,
it's swipe right. That's what we call it.
Pickup site for the most part, you know.
Yeah.
It's weird, you know, just the way it's set up. And then there's this one called Bumble. Bumble now. I mean,
what's Bumble? What do you think about Bumble?
Well, it's fairly new, and so I always say go with the more established and older ones, like the eHarmony, because they've been around for a while. They know what they're doing. These newer ones, the Bumble is it's something about, I don't know it really fully because I can't know all of them, but something about how you the women contact the men, actually, in that one.
Oh, no, I would never recommend this to my clients.
But the thing, if you think about a Bumble, what man is going to go on Bumble? If they're going to think of the name or Bumble, it's right. Men are kind of like, it's kind of funny. I have to tell you a story. Like my husband now, you know, he's like, don't tell anybody that we met on Match.com.
I love those stories. So like, okay, so let's make up a story where we met, right?
I know, because men are kind of funny. Like they're kind of, they don't want people to know that because it's their ego that they're doing online.
It's true. You know, there's so much story around like neediness and you know, there's also like coffee meets bagel. Like what that?
You know what? I don't even know anything about it. I can't even keep up with all of them. And I just think I'm more for the older systems.
Yeah.
Stay with those. Because there's new ones coming out all the time.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know for my women too, who are listening to this, right? And hopefully he's listening to it, to just be like, okay, so you don't have to hop on every little app and every little, you know, whatever new launch of any website. I mean, it's like, you know, mindful, meet mindful, and, you know, I mean, it's just endless, right? You know, there's another one I was thinking of. Yeah, I forgot what it's called.
And most of what, you know, my clients meet their men on Match.com or eHarmony. And even when I meet friends, they met on Match.com or eHarmony. I rarely ever hear Tinder. I hear some meet on Plenty of Fish. But you don't really hear on these other sites. So I would recommend not being on them.
So what would you say is like the average time that your client is on before they meet their man?
Oh, that's a tough question. Because every woman's different. It just depends upon how much time that you are going to put into it. Like
how consistent they are.
Yeah, if you're really serious, like I'll give you an example. I had recently worked with a client, and she, when she first came with me, we actually worked on some, feeling confident more in the beginning. And then after a month, we did online dating, and she ended up meeting somebody. It was probably about 3 months. And you got to be on there, like, I would even say more than 5 hours per week. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a
good job.
And it's kind of like, that what I love about dating is like, if you pick like one or two, you pick your strategy and you just be consistent with it, right? And don't do anything else, right? So I think that's what you're really saying, it's like, okay, stay consistent with whatever site you pick, whatever. If you pick online dating, stay consistent with it. Know that you will be investing this much time, because even if you don't write anything, just reading all those emails and like clicking on them and going to the profiles and seeing how aligned they are with what you just read, or when they were online the last time, or how responsive they are, right? Because there's like all those like little notifications, right? How responsive are they, right? How many people are they actually responding to?
And that's why I think contacting the men, it makes it easier, because especially when you first get on there, you'll get a slew. Especially if you're pretty nice looking and you have a great profile, you're going to get a slew in the mailbox.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
in some respects, I say, don't even worry about that. You go and look and know what you want before you get on there. Like, don't just randomly start reading profiles. Have you really wrote down exactly what you're looking for in a man and a relationship?
Yes.
So when you're looking, like, these are my top 10 things. These are my deal breakers. And I tell you're going, okay, you read the profile, and it's not fitting next. Don't think, oh, well, sometimes we get into these things and hoping that, you can change someone or.
Oh, that's like the worst, right? And tell me, what would you say, how long should the profile maximum, because we talked a lot about emails, right? But let's talk for a profile, because I used to go on those profiles, and again, same thing what I just told you. By the time I got to the bottom, sometimes I printed them out because I couldn't even remember anymore.
I know.
And I wanted to know what this guy was all about, because I took some notes, and then, and it was all very fascinating. Sometimes they're really cerebral guys on there, and I write really amazing stuff, right? So what would you say, what's kind of like, the maximum length that you would say as a woman, don't go past that, right? Because like nobody's going to read that, and people might even like completely click away, because, we always say if the brain is confused, it's automatically no, right? What do you say about that?
So I'm sorry, can you say that question again?
How long should the profile be maximum?
Oh, how long should the profile be? Oh, okay. Probably no more than 400 words. 400 words.
Okay, but that's quite a bit. I mean, that gives you some room.
And plus, you want to put in there that, what am I looking, about me, and then what am I looking for? So you want to have 2 sections, like, this is about me, and make sure, that you're not saying something like, oh, this is what I'm not looking for. So we always want to be in the positive.
Yes.
I am looking for, because I'll read some profiles like, I'm not looking for losers, or,
Because then you basically tell them like what you experienced in the past, right?
It sounds negative, and a man's going to read that, and he's going to be like, oh, that woman's got, she's
some problems, right? Yeah, I totally agree. And I always tell my women, that's one thing I know about online dating. I don't know anything else. But if the guys say like, if you're this or that, okay, you know already who they dated. You know already who he is and who he dated, what he went through. There's reasons for it, right?
I would contact a man that's got like ultimatums, or he's got negativity too. So, you that's why you got to take your time to read the profile and read between the lines.
That's such a good point, to not have somebody who like makes you prove something. You know how some people have like something in their profile where they're like, prove me wrong, or like, like if you are different, prove it to me, or
or you'll read like, make sure you're going to send me a couple more pictures. I mean, it's okay to ask, but it's how you're asking it. Like, not to be an ultimatum.
Yeah.
Another thing, you got to have picture up there, at least one, unless there's for some reason, you're in the Secret Service and you can't show your picture.
Yeah, you will not be online dating if you're in Secret Service, just
right.
Put your photo on there. Yeah, I totally get that.
You got to play the game because the men aren't going to respond to you if you're not going to put your picture up. Play it fully, and be in it for the long haul, like a minimum, sign up for 3 months. And like the question you asked me earlier, who knows? Like you could meet someone in 2 weeks, or it might take 6 months. It might be. It just depends upon where you're at and a lot of different factors. But don't give up.
Absolutely,
it will happen.
Absolutely, I love that. I love that. Awesome. So. I'm sure the women got so much juiciness out of it, right? I'm sure it took like plenty of notes, right? That they're going to implement right away after they're off the phone here, go on their profile, change some things. And if they say, wow, I just really need to dive deeper with this, right? I just really need to learn more from Kim and just really develop a strategy so I don't waste months and years, right? But I'm just really know what I'm doing and I'm really consistent with it. What's like a really good way, or what do you have for the women that just really helps them to move forward with this and to go deeper with that?
Well, I have a couple things. One is I have a free guide to women over 40 for online dating.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so we, can start from there. Take a look at that, and you can always contact me, and we can have a complimentary session and discuss if it's a fit for you to do online dating.
Great, awesome. And where do they go to find all that information?
Yeah, that would be helpful, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's like
contact me, and then with a little bit of luck, if I have some time on the side, I'll forward you.
They can contact me at kim@foreverloveformula.com.
Awesome, great. So that's kim@foreverloveformula.com to pick up your free women over 40 online dating report, right?
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah. Awesome, and just really get some more nuggets and distinctions, because ladies, I can tell you one thing, in life, it's really about the distinctions, right? So you might be like, yeah, I noticed already, right? But it might just be the little things. It might be just like a little tweak in how you use the words, or, just like something else that you learn about your profile pictures. Or it's just really about the little things, right? Because that's the subtleties that make the difference.
It really does. You make a really great point. That is so true. Like that one little tweak could make the difference in everything.
Yeah.
Like your life.
Absolutely. Well, awesome, Kim. Well, it's been so fun to have you. And thank you so much for that wealth of wisdom and information. I learned so much, right? Because it's always fascinating. It's an area I just don't dive into. And it's just, what I love, it's like really this ocean, right? It's like never ending. The deeper you go into it, the more there is to learn, right?
Yeah, it's like anything.
There are, and ways to get on across that ocean, how to interact and navigate. So awesome. So much fun. But thank you so much for being on the show here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to, to hear more of your wisdom in the future.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure being here and being able to share some tips and be in partnership with you and helping women, have love. It's a wonderful thing. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much, Kim.